So that's the breaking news into Q2 just minutes ago, and we take you right to that CBS special report. So now we go back to the top of our show. If you missed the top of our show, a 7.1 magnitude earthquake rattled Alaska this morning.
It was centered 7 miles north of Anchorage and caused widespread damage. Those effects even being felt here in Montana tonight. But
fortunately, no reports of any injuries or deaths. Eliana Diaz is following the story.
Ceiling tiles came crashing down the moment the earthquake hit. This was inside the studios of KTVA, the CBS affiliate in Anchorage. Its newsroom was nearly destroyed. Computers, lights, cameras were tossed around, but the staff kept reporting via social media.
This thing hit hard, it hit fast.
Across the region, people dove for cover when the shaking started. Food flew off supermarket shelves and students squeezed under tiny desks. Outside, roads buckled. This one left a car marooned in the middle.
Holy smoke.
Witnesses say a power line fell onto this church, sparking a fire.
It was like something out of a movie. I called my mom. I was like, yo, Mom, it was an earthquake. I love you. They said it's a tsunami. I was all, hysterical, of course, breathing all heavy.
Alaska's governor issued a disaster declaration for the state and says the size of the earthquake will make for a lengthy recovery.
We're no stranger to earthquakes in Alaska, but each one brings its own separate challenges, and this one was, I thought, very strong.
And there were at least 10 powerful aftershocks.
Well, we're going to just go ahead and shelter.
Tremors set off these metal detectors and kept Alaskans on edge.
I'm still shaking.
The earthquake could be felt hundreds of miles away. Eliana Diaz, CBS News.
Alaska is a very volatile tectonic region. It averages 40,000 earthquakes a year, with more large quakes than the other 49 states combined.
President Trump tweeted today his support to the people and the state of Alaska, saying the federal government will spare no expense.
The University of Alaska Anchorage men's basketball team plays tomorrow night against MSUB right here in Billings.
Turns out the players and coaches left Anchorage on their flight just minutes today before that quake hit their hometown. They arrived in Billings just a few hours ago. Q2's David Jay had a chance to talk with the head coach at their practice tonight. David?
Jay, Jeanelle, the team left aboard an Alaska Airlines flight around 8:20 Alaska Standard Time, and the quake happened about 5 minutes after that. They did not hear about that earthquake until they landed in Seattle 3.5 hours later. Then the team had another stop in Portland and landed in Billings around 6:45 tonight, and Seawolves quickly made it to Alterowitz for a shoot-around. Coach Rusty Osborne says they're not sure whether or not the school will be open, but players are still studying for finals, and he says he and the team have received texts about what happened in Anchorage. They know that their family and friends are all right, but they have heard about the damage, including on the Alaska Anchorage campus.
We're certainly grateful that nobody was injured, no lives were lost, and property can always be replaced and fixed. Sports can be a good distraction from things like these, not only for us, but possibly for people back home who are going through some tough times right now. Appreciate everybody's thoughts and concerns. Heard from people here in Billings also, and we are one country, and we all go through some tough times, and it's always nice to hear from our neighbors from other places, and we look forward to having a good crowd tomorrow night, and hopefully we can have a good game with the Yellow Jackets.
And Rusty Osborne says it's been a typical trip with only time for texting to his family, and after tonight's practice he said he was planning on talking with his family on the phone. Jay, Jeanelle?
Thank you very much, David. Now we switch to our weather scene outside, and we have some snow in town tonight. Bob McGuire, that means drivers need to be cautious.
Yeah, because what happened is the first wave of snow has melted. Now the temperatures are getting below freezing. That stuff's going to start freezing. And then we thought we'd throw a little snow on top of it so you can't see where the ice is, okay? Anyway, here's what's happening out there. We do have a winter weather advisory for started at 6 o'clock tonight, goes till noon Sunday, for 3 to 6 inches of snow in the highlighted area. Plus that area in pink, that is a winter storm warning. Could see 6 to 8 inches of snow there with local amounts up to 11. So it's a big event. And as you can see right now on the Doppler radar, the snow is starting to pull away from the Billings area, but not only that, it's starting to spread out a little bit farther east. We'll probably see this thing come spin around back at us later tomorrow morning. That's what our computer models show. You see it here like this, and then probably sometime about 8 o'clock in the morning, it comes right back into the Billings area. Sits and spins around throughout most of eastern Montana throughout much of the day on Saturday and again on Sunday. As far as snowfall amounts, here's what the computers are saying now. Looks like maybe 1 to 2 inches of snow by the time Sunday gets here. We'll have more in your forecast in a few more minutes.
All right, thank you, Bob.
Expansion plans for the Rosebud coal mine at Colstrip got the green light from the state of Montana today. The long-awaited environmental impact statement on the Rosebud mine expansion now complete, but the future of the mine and its parent company, Westmoreland Coal, still very much up in the air.
That Rosebud coal mine feeds the Colstrip power plants. They are looking to expand its footprint by as much as 10 square miles. It's a move that would extend the life of the Rosebud mine through the year 2047. But the mine's parent company, Westmoreland, is now in the midst of Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So exactly who will own the mine in the near and long-term future remains to be seen. Westmoreland, in fact, has set a public auction for January 22nd, at which time the mine will be auctioned off to the highest bidder. So with so much uncertainty, environmental groups are questioning how state officials can proceed in approving the mine's expansion. Today I spoke with one of the groups questioning the decision. Ann Hedges, deputy director with the Montana Environmental Information Center, says she believes the state may have ignored the law in moving ahead with its decision.
The law requires the state and the federal government to consider who the owner is of a coal mine before permitting that mine, and to make sure that that entity is in good standing, that they don't have standing violations, that they don't have a consistent record of violating the law. That's something that is required under federal law to be considered. And if you don't even know who's going to be owning the mine in a month, then how can you comply with the law?
I also spoke today with the spokesman for Westmoreland Coal, who says the approval of the mine expansion from the state today is certainly a positive development. That Rosebud mine employs as many as 340 workers. It produces close to 9 million tons of coal each year.
The former owner of a dozen Montana hydropower plants is now countersuing the operations of the operators of the Colstrip plants. At stake, $730 million in proceeds from the hydro plant sale and pension benefits for the 320 workers at Colstrip. A month ago, Colstrip operator Talon Energy sued PPL over the proceeds of its 2014 sale of a dozen hydropower dams in Montana. Talon says it's entitled to some of those proceeds to pay Colstrip worker pension benefits and cleanup costs at the plants. But on Friday, PPL fired back with its own lawsuit in a Delaware court. It says any dispute over the money should be settled in Delaware, where PPL is incorporated, and that Talon's lawsuits in Montana District Court should be dismissed. PPL also says Talon's owner, Riverstone Holdings, drained $500 million in cash from the company. Friday's legal action from PPL says the Talon lawsuits are a brazen effort to blame PPL for Riverstone's greed and recklessness.
A hearing set for a Crow Agency man whose fight with the state of Wyoming over treaty rights is now headed before the U.S. Supreme Court. The High Court scheduled to take up the case January 8th. Calvin Herrera shot an elk in Wyoming and later was convicted of illegal hunting years ago, but his argument has piqued the interest of the High Court because Herrera claims that the Laramie Treaty of 1868 is on his side. That treaty states tribal members have the right to hunt on unoccupied land, even though the Crow Reservation ends at the Montana-Wyoming border. In response, the state of Wyoming says those treaty rights ended when Wyoming became a state. This case could set precedent for future tribal hunting cases. A decision, though, not expected until late spring or early summer of next year.
Montana Senator Jon Tester will be in the national spotlight this weekend.
Tester's a guest Sunday on CBS's Face the Nation program. Q2's Russ Riesinger talked with host Margaret Brennan about Tester's appearance this afternoon.
I'm curious, how do you think Tester is perceived there in Washington? He got a lot of attention, of course, President Trump taking personal aim at him during the midterms. But how do you think he's perceived there in Washington?
Well, that is exactly why he has gotten attention here in Washington. He seems to be a survivor. We want to talk to him about how he has won re-election. Is this a model that can be replicated elsewhere for Democrats? The criticism of the Democratic Party often is that they have forgotten about rural voters, about those in the middle of the country who perhaps at one time did vote Democratic. Is there a path back for Democrats, and is it a model that they can replicate since Jon Tester showed he could win in Montana?
Anything else in particular that you're curious to ask him about?
Well, you know, this is a consequential weekend. The G20 summit is underway in Argentina. That means President Trump and President Xi Jinping will be meeting. And these are the two largest economies in the world locked in a trade dispute that Senator Tester says is really hurting Montana's farmers, other farmers in this country because of the escalating tariff dispute. So there's a big question on Saturday when the two presidents meet. Can they resolve this? Can they even open the door to the beginning of a negotiation? A lot is at stake for large parts of this country, particularly the agricultural sector.
Thanks so much, Russ. Now, another key issue to be discussed, a possible government shutdown looming as early as next week.
You can catch Face the Nation beginning at 8:30 Sunday morning right here on Q2.
Coming up, this week marks a first in decades at St. Vincent Healthcare. We'll have that story right after this.
And coming up in sports, the Cats travel to Fargo to take on #1 NDSU tomorrow. What's the recipe for an upset? We'll tell you in just a bit.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Cohn and Jeanelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.